You got the skipabouts. Oh no, Arthur, not off there. That's too high. Come on, baby, go. Don't jump off. It's baby season here on the farm, and it's safe to say that things have been a little bit more intense than I expected. We've got a foal with an unknown father, heaps of chicks, stacks of goats, loads of lambs, and piglets galore. This one is particularly snooty. He's snooty. Look at your big snooty. Hi everyone, Ellie here. Welcome back to Hitching Farm. Today Arthur and I are going off to get 50 new chicks because it's nearly winter and we thought we needed more animals. And so I have just been setting up my best effort bodge brooder. Mike doesn't know I've done it in the house yet. Arthur doesn't know we're going to go get chicks. Should be fun.
Wow, I've watched them.
You excited? So these chicks are going to be Arthur's little pet project, obviously under very close supervision. And here we're just getting them into the brooder.
Where can I go to Daddy?
Daddy's working right now, but...
Can I hold one? Well, I'm holding only one.
Yeah, lovely. So my first mistake was putting them on wood shavings, which they promptly started to eat. So I had to switch them over to just being on cardboard or paper. Wood shavings are really dangerous because they can give them a compacted crop and then they can't actually eat any normal food. What's that one called? Adorable. Gently, gently. So as well as the chicks, we've also got pigs that are going to be expecting babies in the spring. We've just bought a Tamworth boar called Paul, and he's going to be going in with Prudy and Merida, the two Tamworth girls that you can see here. They're the bright orange ones. And we're also expecting a foal from Josie. You'll have to excuse the state of this barn. We rebuilt it not that long after taking this video because it looks a mess. So Josie surprised us this year by getting herself in foal. So this stallion is Oscar. He's not one of the possible fathers. We have two possibilities. It's either going to be Onyx or Strider, but Oscar loves her anyway. He's not fussy. So here's my evolution of my brooder. I moved from cardboard onto wrapping paper because you can just scrunch it up in a ball and it's so much easier to clean out. So that's a pretty good top tip. When they were old enough, I moved them back onto shavings, but I did have a bit of a problem with them kicking the shavings into their water. So I built them a little chick pub. They can go in over the doormat, all the shavings come off their feet, and then they've got their water that they can drink in there. So here we are at 3 weeks. Starting to roost where they shouldn't be roosting, but that's just fine because it means their feathers are coming. This one you can see here is nearly fully feathered, and they've got feathers on their heads and everything. Looking very nice, ladies. That's it, you go back in there, you naughty chicken. As you can see here, they are getting a little bit cramped and they are starting to smell. And they've made the whole room go mouldy, which is brilliant. So it's about time they went outside. Thankfully Mike managed to build a new hutch for them yesterday, so they've got a nice smallish space so that they can keep themselves warm to start with, and then we'll transfer some of them out into some other hutches so that they've got plenty of space moving forward. And the eventual plan is that they are then going to go onto our veg patch, and it's going to be their job to cultivate the veg patch over winter so it's ready for planting in the spring. Here they are, the first few. Not quite sure what to make of it yet, obviously, but hopefully they'll find that pop hole. And then they've got a bit of outside space as well. So it's another beautiful day in January. The chicks are now quite big. As you can see, they're nearly at point of lay. They're living out with our other chickens now. Unfortunately, we did lose about half of them to a fox. He was actually able to rip the side off of the coop we got from hutches and coops. So don't particularly recommend those if you live where there's decent sized foxes, because we managed to get in there and eat 20 of them in one night, which was obviously a complete disaster. We do still have 25 of them left, and as you can see, they are pretty much just full-size chickens now. Next up we had some baby quail hatching. These guys were absolutely adorable, really, really tiny. You fit about 10 in the palm of your hand. Mike bought me these eggs for Christmas. We didn't have a brilliant hatching rate. They came in the post, and I think some of the eggs got a little bit squashed. But I thought you'd like to see this one hatching out because they are very, very cute. This is my goat crew. This is the father of all of our babies. This is Hagrid. Some of the girls. This is Pickles. It's Kebab, Beauty, and Queenie. And that's Cheese. Right, Cheese? So the goats started popping out these adorable little guys in mid-February. It was really, really spaced out though and very random. We started with our first few goats all kidding within one day, and then we had just had a really massive gap. But luckily, we weren't short of things to do, because in the middle of that, we started lambing as well. So our lovely girls are coloured Rylands. We've only got 8 of them in lamb this year. We're just starting out with this flock, so we're building up from the bottom. They are quite expensive to buy, so we've just got a few for now. So we're now steamrolling our way towards spring, and there'll shortly be babies absolutely everywhere. Don't poke them.
Pointing at them.
What are they?
Tadpoles.
That's right. And what are they? Baby frogs.
Baby rocks.
So here's Paul being introduced to his lovely girls. As you can see, his primary concern was having his breakfast. As we're putting 2 girls in pig, we might get up to 26 piglets on our first hit, which could be quite fun.
Mummy, Paul now. Mummy, Paul now, where are we doing now?
Does he?
Yeah.
I don't think he does.
No, Ham.
No, I'm good, thanks, mate. So this is the pigs bit of the wood. It's starting to look a little bit tired, so today I'm going to walk them down to a new pen. We try and move them as much as we can, so they're not destroying the ground, flora and fauna too much, but our woods is really lacking in diversity. All of the trees are the same age, so they're doing an important job in here in disturbing the soil, so we get some younger trees and other diversity coming through. So a pig's gestation is 3 months, 3 weeks and 3 days. So we're hoping for piglets sometime around mid-May, which would be quite nice and warm for them and a little bit easier going. It also means that it's after the kidding and lambing and foaling has finished, which I'm not sure if it's a good idea or not, because I maybe could have done it all at the same time and not had to get up so much, but we shall see. So here they are building themselves a lovely wallow in the woods. Are you making a wallow? Are you? Hello. Good pig. Hello, Paul. On a slightly depressing note, as you can see, these guys love messing about in the woods, digging themselves wallows and finding all sorts of delightful things to eat. Only 3% of the UK's pigs are free range and have the opportunity to do things like this. So if you are going to eat pork, do try and find a local supplier that lets their pigs roam around and have a lovely life. So far we have 4 baby goats. This one is particularly snooty. You're snooty. Look at your bit snooty. 3 of the girls have kidded so far, and we've got another 3 to go. I'm not quite sure why they're having quite such a break between the 2 sets. So we had 3 kid in 2 days, and then it's been about 3 weeks and no one else has had any kids yet. So I'm going to go out and check those next. And we still don't have any more babies. So for now we'll just have to make do with looking at these 2 cutie patooties. So in amongst all the babies dropping out everywhere, we are also still running our business. So this is one of last year's foals. She's been sold to a new herd that's starting up in Gloucester, and she's just out with her friends here to see the world a little bit while her brain is still really good at absorbing new information. And as you can see, she's not too bothered by the cart, a bit more scared of something in the hedge. And as you can see here, Josie is starting to look more and more like a hot air balloon. She does carry very heavy, and she quite often looks in foal even when she isn't. Get a wiggle on, Mike. Get a wiggle on. So this is our stallion herd, and it's the two boys on the left-hand side, the solid blue Onyx and the blue and white Strider, who are potentially the fathers of Josie's foal. And here is Onyx working his way across the valley to a new field where he's going to be turned out with 4 mares this year so that we can have a few more Onyx babies. Just a brief note about how we keep our stallions. All our stallions are kept as a bachelor herd. You can see them here playing through the winter, practicing their sparring. They're not actually making contact with each other. It's a lot of kind of gesturing going on. All of these boys are working horses that we've bred ourselves, and they are all proven in harness and have bred lovely foals before. And we breed a few foals every year to help run the business and also to replace our own stock. And there's Roger in the corner, absolutely not bothered. And here they are having a snuggle. Josie is now very rapidly approaching her due date, and as you can see, she's not going to let that stop her. She's still thundering about, giving me heart palpitations. So as a general rule, we do find the heavy horses do breed slightly less easily than smaller horses. So we check them every 3 hours throughout the night, which, well, I check them every 3 hours through the night, which is quite exhausting because Mike is teaching during the day at the moment. Here, she was very obviously getting ready to start foaling, so I woke Mike up to come and enjoy the fun. Right, so this little chap was born about 3:15 yesterday, which was the 9th of April. He was actually due on the 1st, which means I've had 9 days of getting up every 3 hours to check on Josie. Everything went fine. She had retained her placenta slightly, so we popped a knot into the end of that, and that actually got it out within about 5 minutes, so that wasn't a problem. The foal was slightly slow to get up. Here he is. We do find that heavy horse foals are slightly slower than average at getting up, especially the colts. And he is a colt, and he is an absolute match for the colt that she had last year. So now we just need to figure out who the father is. So a bit of DNA testing going to be going on. Just a quick note to say that this was not Josie's second foal in a row. We always leave them a couple of years in between, but I was obviously quite tired and got that wrong. So his brother is actually now 2 years old, and we've decided to call this chap Aries. So even though Josie has foaled now, it doesn't mean that we can get a full night's sleep, because we still have 2 bottle-fed lambs that their mums have rejected. Ow, you're biting my leg. To feed every few hours. These guys are just starting to move down to being fed every 4 hours though, so slightly more sleep than we have otherwise been getting. Lambing not going very well this year, I have to say. We've had 2 ewes reject their lambs. One ewe decided to sit on both of her lambs, and one ewe let the fox take both of her lambs. And we don't have many ewes, so that's not particularly brilliant. Do still have a couple left to go, and I have to say I don't mind doing the bottle feeding because these 2 are so cute. That's my skirt. What are you doing? Don't bite my knees. No, don't do that. You've just had your milk. Don't suck it loads of air. Here's the girls and boys. Right, Gordon? Looking very floofy. One of the best things about foals is how little time it takes them to go from tiny little sleepy blobs to absolute heroes of play. And Aries was no exception. He was very, very quickly learning to bully his mum. got?
He's the pink hair.
A very new baby.
He's
Oh.
a girl.
Don't know what it is yet. I haven't gone over there. Very pretty, though, isn't it? We always try and time our foaling so that the foals can go more or less directly out onto some good spring grass. Obviously Josie opted to do this on her own, but she timed it quite well. So Aries is now joining the herd outside, and here he is with his mum. He hasn't quite got full control of all of his body yet though, which is fair enough, and as you can see here, he forgets about his tongue. So we soon had even more baby goats. We actually ended up with 9 in the end. Unfortunately, I hadn't realised at this point, but the goats had a copper deficiency problem, which meant that they weren't producing very good milk, and so I ended up bottle raising these too. So this is Kebab's baby. Kebab has decided that she hates it, which means that I'm topping it up with a bottle as well as getting it to drink from her. Which means that I get to do more things in the night. I'm quite tired at this point. Luckily though, on a farm you are never alone, even at night, and I always had my trusty army of cats watching over, just in case we spilt any milk. And this was the last goat baby that I was expecting. It did actually turn out that we were going to have even more than that in the end, but the last one didn't actually kid until July, so a couple of months after the one before it. And just a little bit more goat spam, because obviously there is never enough of these cute faces in amongst all the other rubbish on the internet. Our next population explosion was the geese. These guys actually started peeping within their shells a couple of days before they hatched, which was really, really cool to be able to hear them before they'd even started moving. The eggs then started wobbling around, and shortly after that we had a couple more goslings. Next up, it was nearly time to bring in the pigs because they were due to farrow. Right, so it's now only a week away until the girls are potentially due to farrow. I'm going to have to bring them into some stables because I haven't had time to build any shelters yet, or make Mike build any because I don't have any of those skills. They're looking quite round, one of them much more so than the other, so it'll be quite interesting to see if they follow the dates I'm expecting. Paul is still in with them. He's here, big lovely Paul. So we'll, it could be a variable date when they actually do farrow. I'm quite nervous, I've never actually farrowed before. Mike has though, so hopefully it'll be fine. More reasons to get up at night. Luckily my pigs will follow pretty much anywhere for a bucket of food. As you can see here, Paul was deeply concerned for the welfare of his 2 girlfriends and decided to treat himself to a spa day on the way in a bathtub that we use as a water trough. And the leaves were just starting to come through on the trees, which was a relief. It felt like a very long winter up until this point, and there's nothing better than thinking that you are heading into the spring. And my particularly rubbish lambing efforts had come to an end with 4 lambs, 2 of which I had to bottle raise from 8 ewes, which, as you can imagine, I was not overly pleased with. But we had them all checked out by the vet. There was absolutely nothing wrong with the sheep. There was a couple that didn't lamb, bit of bad luck with the foxes, one that sat on her lambs, but we'll try again next year. And as you can see here, the copper deficiency in the goats was really starting to show its face here. You can notice that her pupils look quite large and she looks just a little bit off and a little bit dopey. But things were much more obvious in the field where the goats were really starting to look ropey. So obviously we had the vet out, but the vets weren't sure what it was. And lucky for me, I have a friend who is a goat wizard, and I sent her some videos and she suggested it might be a copper deficiency. And they soon popped back up. It was literally 3 feeds of the copper supplement and everyone was feeling themselves again. So do check your minerals if you are going to breed goats. Obviously I didn't know that before, now I do.
So this potentially is the father of our new foal, but we're not entirely sure, so we're going to get a DNA test and find out.
So this chap here is the other option of the father of Josie's foal. His name is Strider. He's actually half brothers to Onyx. See, it's very pretty. We then had a little bit of a break while we were waiting for the pigs to start farrowing. They were definitely a few weeks later than I expected, but spring was cracking on. We were getting on with the farm jobs and all the babies were growing up. At this point, we were blissfully unaware of how difficult farrowing was going to be and the problems we were going to have with that. So it's currently 3 o'clock in the morning and we are waiting for Prudy. She's been looking like she's quite distressed for a couple of hours now, so we're going to see what she does next. So as you can see, Prudy is about fit to burst now. She's been up and down all night with me. I thought she was farrowing from about 7 o'clock last night and she still hadn't gone anywhere this morning, and then she seemed to just give up completely. So we had the vet out and they've checked her over and she is just a dramatic pig. So we are going to wait a little bit longer. We also had the vet check Prudy's hips. As you can see here, she was doing a lot of weight shifting on her back legs, and I thought that was a little bit suspicious. But they said it was probably just discomfort with the piglets growing and nearing birth. And after that, it was pretty much radio silence, so we carried on with the normal farm jobs and farm life, waiting for Prudy for about another 4 days before she actually decided to do anything. Which of course meant a little bit more time up at night, but there's always someone to talk to, even at night times. I'm really, really excited. We've just found, so she wasn't doing anything like, I don't know, 40 minutes ago when I last looked at her. Prudy has had her piglets, and so far there's 5. She looks very happy. We don't know if she's finished it or not.
She's a grunty pig.
She's a happy pig. Look at this.
What a grunt.
Good pig.
Oh, is she following the goat?
Yeah. Up to 8 piglets now.
Prudy the prolific.
Are you happy, Prudes, now?
All of the babies.
You were quite unhappy, weren't you, for a little bit? So things all looked pretty good to start with. Prudy passed her after birth time. She ended up with 8 piglets, 6 of which were boys, but there was definitely something brewing there. As you can see, Aries was getting bigger and stronger, and he was here having some splashing lessons from his mum Josie. He is an absolute people person. As soon as he spots me here, you can see he's running up for a butt scratch. Hello, friend. Hello. Here we are. Prudy's piglets are now 3 days old. Unfortunately, Prudy's had some problems with her hips after having the piglets, and she's not currently able to stand up. She can sit up like a dog and she can pivot round, and I'm coming out and giving her water and food every couple of hours. Piglets seem to be doing really well, so she's on a really high dose of pain relief, and she is hopefully, with time, going to be able to stand back up. What they think it is where the ligaments have softened when she's getting ready to farrow, that it's kind of gone too far. She can't get up, which is really miserable. Poor Prudy. Look at her. Yeah, so it's a bit really. It's a bit rubbish, isn't it, Prudy? So yeah, we'll have to keep you posted how we got on with that. So the piglets continue to grow and thrive. We were very carefully giving Prudy water every couple of hours, even all through the night. And it was about 7 days in at this point and she still couldn't get up. We actually had a physiotherapist visiting who normally works on horses, but she very kindly offered to work on Prudy. And as you can see here, just a day later, or a couple of days later, she was back up and on her feet, which was an absolute thrill for me, if I'm honest. And just a few days after that, we had Merida also have her piglets. Merida had 6 boys, so we've got quite a hardcore sway towards boys this year. Not that it particularly matters to us. So we are now the proud owners of 17 pigs, which includes 12 boy piglets. Hello, Merida. Your beautiful babies. Look at them. At this point, all of our little goats were out and about in the fields and looking very grown up. And then we were quite surprised to be joined by 2 more tiny little babies from Cheese, who I was not expecting to be in kid at all. We were also kept busy with the constant escaping of piglets. You cannot go into the yard without finding an errant piglet. I'm not sure if this is a boy thing or if all piglets are like this, but you can always find one where you are least expecting them. And that was the end of baby season for this year. We're going to do it all again next year, obviously, and next year it'll actually be worse. Because we'll be expecting 4 foals, 3 from our stallion Onyx and 1 from another stallion that we have on the farm called Oscar. We'll also be adding calves. We've just bought a new bull, his name is Lamington, and a couple of girls who we've called Rhubarb and Custard. These guys are British white cattle, which are a rare breed, and we're really looking forward to what they produce. We also solved the mystery of who was Aries' father, and the DNA tests confirm that it's Onyx here who has a guilty conscience. And if you've made it this far through the longest video I've ever made, you should probably hit subscribe and come and join us again. Thanks for watching. Bye.